Hey, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about the recently released Outriders game by People Can Fly and published by Square Enix. And before I really go any further, I really do just want to say that I like the game. I think Outriders is a very good game. It's not bad, it's not maybe AAA standard in some areas, but I think it's really good. It's sort of a cross between The Division, Destiny, and Gears of War. And overall I think it's definitely worth a look. However, there's been some very weird sort of issues with it over the last 2 days that it's been out, mainly to do with the servers and stability. But before we get into that, I just want to remind people that I am trying to grow the channel as best as I can, and I'm really close to my first subscriber goal, which is, as I said last time, a modest 25 subscribers. I know it's really nothing in the grand scheme of things, but it would really mean a lot to me if you'd consider subscribing to the channel after you watch the video. If you think I've deserved it, that would be great. So then what do I mean by server issues? Well, the thing is, Outriders is essentially a solo game, but you can play it, co-op with 2 other people. So of course you might be thinking, well, of course, if the servers are down, you can't co-op, right? Yeah, that's true. But what a lot of people might not know is that you cannot play any of the single player story stuff if the servers are down, which boggles the mind in 2021. I don't understand really why it was built this way. It's frankly kind of ridiculous that a game in this day and age that's a solo single player game with some co-op on the side has to be always connected online. And that's the thing, there's no real microtransactions. There is something, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, in general, there's no microtransactions, there's nothing that it really needs to keep check of, so I don't understand why they kept it as an always online requirement, because it's almost like having a massive hindrance there for absolutely no benefit. And I'm in the UK, so our internet over here is it can be good in places, it's good in built-up areas, but where I live it's kind of semi-rural, I would say. We're not exactly countryside, but we're close. And the best internet I could get here was 30 megabytes down and 10 megabytes up. That's the best I can do here, unfortunately. But still, the speed shouldn't make any difference to the actual server stability on their end, of course. I'm just saying that our internet over here isn't the greatest anyway, and then to have it where their servers aren't working as well, it's just a kind of recipe for failure, honestly. So I was playing it on the day it came out and enjoying it. I really enjoyed the demo. I played a lot of it, and then I tried all the different characters, all the different classes, I should say, and I really enjoyed them all. For those of you that want to know, I started as the Technomancer because he's really good for solo play, and I generally play solo, so the game was great, really enjoying it. But every sort of 20 to 40 minutes I was getting kicked out from a server issue where it would just say, yeah, disconnected, and then you close the game and then you load it back up and it works again. And it's just so stupid that it's a requirement. It just annoys the crap out of me, it really does. And then after a little while, what happened was it basically became completely unavailable. You get to the start screen, you press the button to sign in, and it just says can't connect. So it was just down for me for hours, and this went on from probably, I would say, about 7 or 8 p.m. all the way up to midnight, and I just gave up trying to play it that night rather, and I just played a bit of Monster Hunter Rise on the Switch instead, which is cool. But I really wanted to play Outriders because I just paid £55, which is what, $60 in America, to play this, and I basically couldn't play it, so a bit annoying to say the least. And they were pretty good at trying to keep us updated and fix the issues. I do definitely give them the benefit of the doubt and some respect when it comes to it, because they didn't just throw the game out there and say, well, whatever, we'll get to it when we get to it. No, they really tried hard to fix it, and as of right now, as of the recording of this video, it seems like it's okay. I haven't had any disconnects in a couple of hours of play, so that's pretty good going. Now, as I said earlier, this is a basically single player game with optional co-op if you want it. But why would they need servers, right? That's the big question. Why does it have to be always online connected? Well, from sort of my years not in the industry, but following the games industry, I just have this kind of feeling that this game was originally designed to be a live service game. Even though they are very proud of the fact that they are not a live service, they literally tout it in all of their marketing. They're always, no live service, no constant, microtransactions, or no FOMO, no missing out on stuff, none of that. And it's like really big in their marketing, and then they need us connected always. I find that really suspect, if I'm honest. I really think this was originally designed as a live service game with microtransactions and everything, especially if you actually look at some of the things you need to upgrade and the way the upgrades work on the gear. I think when you look at it, especially because one of the things you need, I think, is called shards, and shards is such a microtransaction free-to-play name for a premium currency. It just screams that it was a premium currency at some point. So I don't know really, but it feels like it was. But I think what happened, in all honesty, was that they, as I say, originally designed it that way, but then they looked at things, Anthem, Marvel's Avengers, and stuff like that. They're all essentially all but dead now. There's, of course, people that still like them and still play them. That's true for a lot of games, but those games are, basically dead, right? They're gone, and they were failures. And saying that, actually, up until recently, I think Dragon Age 4 from BioWare was going to be a live service, which again I think was mandated by EA that it had to be a live service. But now, after the failures of things like Anthem and Avengers, like I just said, they probably looked at it and very quickly changed course. Like most corporations, they tend to look at these things 2 to 3 years too late. They're always chasing trends rather than actually, setting them. And it's, because frankly, the people in charge just don't care about video games. That's how it is in most, not all, but most corporations like EA and things like that. They don't care about video games, they care about profit. And profit's important, as I always say, but the way they go about designing them from the top down, it's very robotic and it's just got no soul to it, But back to the point I was trying to make. After seeing all of these failures, I think EA just said, well, let's not do live service because that isn't working. So they actually changed their mandate to BioWare and said you don't have to make it a live service anymore, which is, a really big positive thing. So let's hope that comes out in a decent state. But all in all, it just feels like there's something more going on with Outriders. I just think there's something that was true and now they've changed course. It's fine to change course in development. It happens all the time. But I'm wondering, again, I'm not a game developer or anything. I do understand game development. I can't write code and I can't, 3D model or anything like that or animate, but I know how it works. And I just think maybe it's a situation where the base, source code for the game is just written in such a way that if you were to take that live service away, that, the always connected part, like it's just made to work that way from the beginning. So they'd have to sort of redo the source code perhaps. I'm not entirely sure if that's true. I don't have any proof of that, but it sounds like that could be potentially one reason why they had to stick with the online. Or even more sinister, what if they're, pulling Activision and throwing in microtransactions down the line? God, I hope they don't do that, because like I said, all their marketing was, anti-microtransaction basically. So I don't know, man. I hope they don't do that. But actually saying about microtransactions, they did say that there were no microtransactions, except there is one. Literally day one, there's a Hell's Rangers pack that you can buy for, I think it's £5 something in the UK, possibly $6 in the USA. It's kind of weird because I remember them talking about this, and I remember there was a lady that was doing their hosting for a live stream that Outriders was doing, and I remember them saying, yep, there are no microtransactions, there are none of this, none of that, no live service stuff. However, and I'm like, well, you just said there wasn't any, and then you've said however, there is this Rangers pack that is a pre-order bonus. And I was like, oh, okay, well, if it's a pre-order bonus, I guess that's okay. It's not. I'd rather they didn't do it. I'd rather it was just in the game from the get-go. But they basically said, yeah, okay, you get it if you buy the day one edition, but if you don't, you can buy it separately. And I'm just like, see, if you had have just not made it purchasable separately, perhaps I would have been more okay with that. Or, just don't do pre-order bonuses. It's not necessary, especially on a new IP. This is a completely new series and it's not proven itself yet. Still to this day, it hasn't proven itself. It's doing well, apart from the online stuff, but it's doing well. Perhaps a pre-order bonus for the second game would be a bit more legit, but I don't think it was really a good idea to say no microtransactions and then to literally put one there on day one. It's kind of stupid. And actually, going on the day one edition, this is just kind of a little anecdotal thing that happened to me. I bought my day one edition on PS5 and I got it from Amazon in the UK, right? It comes with a code for, that Hell's Rangers pack that I just mentioned. But also it comes with it's either a sew on or iron on badge, like an Outriders logo thing. And the weird thing was the game was double sealed. So you had, the PlayStation strip that you have to tear off on some games. I know the USA doesn't always get those PlayStation strips, but they're a little tear strip that you get on the sealed game. But then on top of that, they laid the patch there and then sealed it with shrink wrap. And I'm like, okay, so that's a bit weird because what ended up happening was they clearly used heat to melt the shrink wrap around, like they do to shrink it around the game. And what that ended up doing was creating this horrible effect where the plastic part that holds the inlay, the artwork, is all bubbly and all like warped where they heated it, and it just looks awful. So the case is kind of ruined. So I don't know if anyone else had that in the UK, but if you did, let me know. I'm curious to see if I was like the only one that got that issue, but it's kind of a weird thing. Just thought I'd sort of share that with you. And one last thing I'd like to mention is that I'm not sure, as a collector, I'm not sure how this is exactly done, but from what I was looking at on my PS5, it seemed like the disc only had about half of the data on it. So, it requires quite a large download. I think it was about half the data was on the disc. Then there was a 35 gig download and then a 12 gig patch as well. So just keep that in mind for anyone that's, picking up the physical version like I did, because one, you're still going to need a lot of internet and a lot of data allowance to download that. Luckily I have unlimited, but I know some people don't. And also the fact that if you are a collector, this is just another one of those games that really there's no point to holding on to, because if the servers are down, you can't play it, and most of the data's, downloaded anyway. So it's a shame. It's a shame. I wish all the data was on the disc and then it just had a patch. That would be great, but it is what it is. So anyway, I don't know the actual facts as to why this is always online. I don't know the exact facts. I can guess, but I don't know for sure. As I said, my years of following this industry, I just feel like it's something more sinister. But whatever the case, I'd like to hear from you guys out there. Did you pick up the game? Did you perhaps only play the demo and decide not to pick the game up in the end? What do you think of it overall, and what are your views on the online requirement? Let me know in the comments down below. And as I said earlier, I'm real close to my first subscriber goal, so if you think I've earned it, please consider leaving a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. And, it just helps get my content seen by more people and helps the YouTube mystical algorithm pick me. So, again, I'd appreciate it. But as always, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.